What challenges did you face when starting your gym, and how did you overcome them?
The main challenge was location. There wasn't a lot of places open that could facilitate a fitness center, whatever you want to call it, complex. So starting out, man, we only had 4,000 square feet, and we had to lease that. So with that 4,000 square feet, only about 2,300 of that was usable. So it had to be real creative. And you couldn't go in, we didn't want to go in, tear down walls and stuff, because we had to pay for that stuff on the way out. So going in, it was like, okay, well, what can I use, and how can I be creative enough to use what's available? So, hey, there's a parking lot outside. So if we need to run, let's go outside and run the parking lot. Hey, we got a small strip of turf. You know, we could push sleds in here. There's a small area over here. Let's stick all the cardio stuff in this area. Let's take this room right here and let's do the classes, the boot camp, the beast camp classes in there. So I had to be real creative, because the way everything was kind of sectioned off. So that was the main challenge, was finding a place to facilitate that, and, you know, signing the lease and hoping that, hey, you know, by the end of this thing, I have something, you know, that I can move into, you know. So that's how we ended up building our own facility, which is now 10,000 square feet. And we have 1,300 square feet of trainable space. So that's huge. You know, it's a big difference, and it's a big help. You know, the one thing is knowing that nobody can really pull the rug from under you. That's the main thing I worried about on the front side of that, is when you're leasing something. Hey, there's a contract, but if somebody doesn't want to renew something, then it's like, hey, man, I got to find somewhere else to be, and there's not a lot of places to be. Right. So getting this built before that expired and setting things up, it helped out a lot, because now it's like, okay, have that peace of mind. I know where we're going. We're going to be there for a while. Only way we'll be out of here is if we decide to sell it and move on to something bigger. But that's not in the plans. So that was the main thing, just finding somewhere to be. You know, finding somewhere where you could fit in, somewhere that made sense. Right. A lot of places have to make sense. Is there a populace that you could pull from in the immediate area? You know, you don't want to be way set off somewhere where, you know, you're way off the beaten path. Hey, good luck for somebody finding you. So being in a prime, in a good location. So that's also a hurdle. So once we found, you know, the land, now you have to find something that you can afford. Right. Find something you can afford. And this was actually during the time of COVID. So prices were skyrocketing. Right. So that was another challenge. It's like, hey, man, how fast can we get this thing done before we exceed this budget? Right. And, you know, the building ended up cutting into the equipment budget, but we got the building. So that's really all that matters. But that's the biggest challenge, you know, going in, was finding the place, being satisfied with that place, working with what that place had to offer. And we only had one bathroom, man, but we made it work.
But you mentioned COVID. Like, was it tough getting people to buy in? Was it tough to get people to come in during that time?
Yeah, we took a hit. Everybody did. You know, some places never recovered. Right. But with us, our members still paid their membership. Even when we were closed, they were still paying their memberships. They knew that we weren't a major corporation, you know, that we were home owned. So, you know, one of the guys said, yeah, I told my wife, we're going to keep paying our membership, because if D closes, we have nowhere to go. Right. So just having good people, you know, behind you and believing in what you do, that helps out a lot. Yeah. And they carried us through that. So the people that we did lose, eventually they came back. Some people never came back. I think some people just never came back out the house after COVID. you know, they kind of stayed away. Maybe they started doing their own thing, whatever it is. But we made it through. It was tough. You know, there were times we wanted to come back in and just open up and like, man, they just got to come in and shut me down. You know, but we stuck with it. I brought some stuff home, just kind of do some stuff, and ended up not using it. So like I said, we made it. It seemed like that was a different part of life. Like, it almost seemed like it didn't happen. You know, living through it was like a surreal moment. but the world was different, people were different, and now it's like everybody's like totally forgot about it. There's a few people who still, they're holding on to, that COVID mindset, but I think everybody else, for the most part, has moved on, and the people who are going to come back came back, and the people who aren't, they just I wish them the best.
Yeah, I always say it felt like a Dragon Ball Z reference, like a hyperbolic time chamber. Like you was in it, but you don't necessarily know. Like you was in it, and then you came out. A couple of years later, if you understand the reference.
Right.
And it kind of felt like that.
It did, but and this is the thing, you grew from it.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of time that would have been spent working, doing something, dedicating that time to other people that you never got a chance to work on yourself. So for that time when we were closed, it was a great time to sit back and kind of reflect on what led up to that point as far as, where we are business-wise, how are things going? How can I improve this quality whenever the doors open back up? What can I do to assure people that, hey, we've taken all the precautions, we've done everything we needed to do, for your safety, and how can I become a better trainer? How can I become a better performance coach? So I was able to sit back, kind of think, draw up a few things and come back and actually execute. And we came back better after COVID than going into COVID.
Right.
Due to that break, I call it forced evolution. Right. Something happened that forced you to evolve. Absolutely. And it was totally out of our hands. So with that, I started doing online training with my members. I set up a little portal. We'd get on there and we'd exercise. Hey man, Beast Camp is going at 09. So we all log in, we'll get in. Hey, how y'all doing? Good to see y'all. Hey, let's get after it for these next 20 or 30 minutes. And for them, that was a little piece of being normal again during a chaotic time, because nobody knew what the next day was going to bring, and the whole world was in chaos. So just having that little piece where people could say, hey man, looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow morning. Nobody was closer than 6 feet. Yeah, I could have saw you yesterday, and then today they said stay 6 feet away. And I'm like, all right, man, I'll holler at you later. You stay over there, we good, So, just going through that time period, it did a lot of good things. I mean, it was terrible to go through as far as the impact it had on people and, businesses and everything. But the time that I was able to get to myself and just kind of think and reflect and rebuild myself on becoming a better person, a better father, a better husband, through that, my daughter never knew about COVID. Like, she knew about COVID, but she had the time of her life. Like, we shielded that. I told my pops, I said, when I saw him, on the backside, I called him and said, hey, I just want to thank you. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, because I never understood as a kid growing up how much y'all shielded from us. How, you were that umbrella. I never got wet because it rained on you. So that's the kind of mindset, like going through that. My daughter never knew how bad it was in the world and stuff like that. We went outside, we played, we ran around the yard, we did board games, whatever it took. So, so as a person, man, we grew tremendously.